Dear Amazonians, we have observed all throughout the time, from the heroic Dadilandi, the graduation of the 7,000 strong, and the imminent fall of Cameroon, and then the treacherous infiltration, the creation of the Bafut 7 Kata, the Badi Buffaloes, the Bui Warriors, and then the Bui 39, and the chase to Momo for the liquidation of ADF. And when somebody stands with a loud mouth like Chris Ano to say ADF is banned by who? And today, with all the chaos that has happened, the disappearance of Ivo, the disappearance of the B-39, and we are still listening to him, well, the resilience of the ADF and their mentors have proved that a revolution founded on truth, like that of Ibrahim Traore, will not be put down by any treachery. That's why, after all had been done to destroy ADF, their Kamasus emerged, and we are now thinking about the commandos. But within time, what is pertinent? The CIC said he knew they were coming for him, and if tomorrow he was not there, we don't owe them child support. We should be prepared to escalate. And escalate we did when the Norwegians came. And the story is told. Since the Norwegian adventure, the number of Cameroon soldiers that have fallen is probably more than all that have fallen before that event. And the Cameroon government is aware. The Norwegians are aware. That's why they come cap in hand, begging to talk with Erik of Sea. And the greatest surprise is that Sisiko Ayuk, who once apologized for not being responsible for the killing of the Yandams, is languishing in Kondenge and is still believing anyhow that Ambazonia should exist. He should have understood now that the doctrine of peaceful fighting and peaceful negotiation had never worked in any history when the French were concerned. And then, when the SCNC had trudged in for years with their policy of fighting with diplomacy, or what they call it, and when they saw the historic Daddy landing, and then what followed, and today, Cameroon is cap in hand with the Norwegians, begging for talks with Ambazonian Governing Council. Then, Mr. Ngang Eric come to Manajela to talk about all that they had done, where we should stop now and make a unity thing. And this is madness. And when Gojitinga is still talking about how they went to the United Nations, Foncha and the rest went to the United Nations after all. But who was listening to them? Who is listening to him? We went to Canada because the ground was hot. The ADF was wreaking havoc, and they needed to get some time. And when they went to Canada, the error was simply that we agreed to have a seemingly secret talks. But today, when we are saying they should come out clear and tell the world that we are not going to take part in any secret talks, people are still around thinking that they will one day come out again and do what? When Honorable Weber lands in Stuttgart, and we are thinking that it's going to give a ramforce to the ADF, who has put the Cameroon running. There he is, telling us that we should make revolutionary committees. Does he think he's still a deputy? Does he think that he can stand in Jakiri and still talk what he was talking about? Now, he had been on the run. If he is going to get into Jakiri now, the Major General from Baka can assure his safety, not gendarmes threatening him anymore. Please, let them know that we have reached a stage where we cannot have eternal recommencement. It is not the myth, the Sisyph, that we are going to leave. The ADF is on and is shaking places. And as Cameroon is shaking, if anybody is not ready to join the ECOC bandwagon and go for the talks, ECOC should take his responsibility and go for the talks, because the world has seen that Cameroon needs to talk with ECOC. The Southern Cameroon People's Congress that supplanted the AAC talks after Canada, where have they ended up? The peace plant of the devil, Capodania, and all his South African bands who were going to talk about making forums for Amazonia. Where are they? Who is listening to them? Cameroon can pop them up with bribes and everything. They will disappear into the cracks. And please, we should not adulterate what is going on. Don't disappoint all these generals who are standing up and making us proud. Stop about going around talking unity, unity, unity. What unity are you talking about? With who? When I'm talking about Wiba and Kojidinka and Erinka, do I even forget John Akuro, who has been talking about our brave hearts, and he's not an admirer of Ajabacho. He admires who? His brave hearts are who? He collects money every day that he's supporting we struggle. Look, when you listen to all the 20-something coup attempts against Traore, I do wonder whether John Akuro is not organizing a sabotage of the ADF and the war. Very often he talks about this, what did he call it? This brave hearts, and he's talking about not the Bush state, not the Misam state. He's talking about local government areas and all the rest of it. He's standing on the fence and imagining that by the time we get off the road, getting towards Buya, he will come out from nowhere and say he has been fighting. Please, how is he better than Chris Mosebini? How is he better than Chris Ano? When he goes talking those things and then collecting money to support teams that are doing what? I wonder whether those is people he is sending to our forces are not blacklegs. We should stop the nonsense and go ahead, forgetting about all these people, the Cambazonians, the Federalists, and all the stupid fellows who are sitting somewhere in the fence thinking that they will jump into the arena when the time comes. Please, go see, walk in close ranks, get us through, so that by the time we go, we will tell Fondon and the rest, and even Foncha and Bona, that our children have done it. Like Ashu Lucas says, Foncha and the rest could do nothing, like CIC says, because they had no army. You don't build a state without an army. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. The world is shaking. And in Burkina Faso, it is more of a divine war than what we were supposed to be. Look at where a cow will stand on the road and avoid his assassination. A child will jump from nowhere and take a spoon from his hand. Those are signs that Africa. Look, when I listen to the Barondo young man, oh boy, that is an Amazonian. Listen to him. He's the Yard TV. He gets out all the salient points and tells the world what the truth is against the propaganda that is going around. And this propaganda is being promoted by some who are within us, saying that we are working with us. And the other day, Sheikh Kavi was receiving some lawyer in Belgium or where, who was talking about Eric Tato being somebody whom we should not forget, whom we should think about is look at. And when Sheikh Kabi was trying to tell this boy that, look, forget about Eric Tato. That's a forgotten case. A lawyer continued insisting, and when you imagine that he's an Amazonian who is not thinking, some of this PhD, please, I don't know what their own means, what this their own education is all about. It did not take 2 weeks before the American government indicted Eric Tato. And all that Sheikh Kabi did to convince this gentleman. And there are so many of them languishing in Europe, whooping against whoop. Now the best thing they can do is come to Cameroon to try to sell the cause and get positions. Well, Sako Ekome has got all his plantations from the CDC. Cristiano is very angry with him because he got it, he brought the things to him and he got it for himself alone. And Cristiano, with all that they have been talking about, pretending, where is he? And there are still people who are listening to him. Oh, well, you see, I once had a situation when the Northwest Cultural and Development Association went to Chidiachu in the Prime Minister's Lodge, and everybody was talking, and I told them, our children shall forgive Mona and Foncha, they will never forgive us, because we cannot be sitting with the Prime Minister and seeing what is going around, be talking about asking Fundi to write a letter and be removed from house arrest. By the time we were forced to write the letter, and I insisted that one should be written to Buya. You see, I told them a story. One year, the founder also called all the rabbis, the nobles, and was asking about the state of the nation. Everybody said the sun was shining and everybody was bathing in it. Everything is going so well. There's no problem all over the country. We are all enjoying. And the old man said, this type of thing is looking like flattery. So you people mean, all these nobles, that there's no madman around you who can tell me the truth? You see, right from those days, we had democratic institutions. And the folk know that when flatterers are around, there can be a madman who will tell the truth. That's why we have Jujus and Shinkang and all the rest. But then what did Bobe do in his own epoch? He called all the Bobes, and they all sat in the palace, and in one part of the courtyard he had gathered all children, and he told the Com people, can you tell me what these people are talking about? The children were there, talking their own. And then the nobles were telling the royal Com that children are not, what do we expect from children? And the phone said, no, all of you get serious. Look at that one. Insisting and talking, and you are saying they are talking nothing. So if the Com people cannot hear that language, all of you go. We are lost. We are on the crossroad. And in actual fact, what we see in Amazonia today is not different from what the fallen saw and the fallen of Com saw, where their children speaking the truth and madmen speaking the truth, and then flatterers are going around, like John Akuro, Chris Anu, and all the rest, talking Amazonia, trying to make us go to sleep. Please, can somebody get across to Kojitinka and remind him that some of us have already reached the age and we are going. We are going to meet Fondon and the rest, and that he should not think that he is eternal. All those his 5 cases he won in the United Nations and the rest, you don't win cases and expect them to be implemented by who? The Bermuda High Court case ended up where? Your African Union Tribunal of Batos of the Gambia. You won the case, as you say. Where have you ended up with it? The United Nations was telling you, take your place. Have you taken it? And when the ADF and the ICOC are now fighting and making Cameroon uncomfortable and forcing them to talk, then you are sitting there with all those things and trying to temporize them, to temporize the ADF. And Mr. Ngang was telling Man Nigeria the other day that we should talk about unity and make an army. We are going to make that army out of what? That's how the Daddy landing was spoiled. And you want to spoil this ADF at the moment? Please shut up and let the Amazonian army, the ADF, continue and push Cameroon to the next talk. We shall not be secret. Please, Goyitinka, wake up and support your son Ayabacho. Push him ahead. You are the king of Amazonia, but he is the commander-in-chief of the army of Amazonia. He does not want to be the king of Amazonia like you. Don't live in your dreams. Ayabacho can make your dreams come true. And be very fast. That he should get through very fast when you are still there and even occupy that post. Even if you are going to be there for 2 days like Awolowo. You know about Awolowo story. Rule Nigeria once and die. Please. Amazonians. Well, you will hear me and you will hear me even billion when I'm gone.